Are you having problems tracking your business success and growth? Do you ever feel like you're making progress, but you're not quite sure how it's happening and how it's moving the needle? In today's episode of Business Growth Talks, we're deep diving into the most underused growth tool in small businesses, KPIs, key performance indicators. Stick around because understanding this area might just change how you lead, scale, and make business decisions. So what is a KPI? KPIs are more than just numbers on a dashboard. They're signposts that tell you whether you're on track or not. Over the years hosting the shows, I've interviewed hundreds of entrepreneurs, and time again, the successful ones tell me what gets measured gets managed. KPIs give clarity, direction, and control. This is one of the most powerful things that I've been working on that is now being able to track the way my business is being run. We are able to put down markers and signposts on particular KPIs. I have a vast number of KPIs, but I am really only tracking those key ones. And I will tell you about those key ones later on in the episode. So I'm going to talk about 15 practical truths about KPIs. Let me break it down, what I've learned about them, both from experience of running podcast introduction and from interviewing hundreds of different business owners and leaders on this show. These aren't just theory. These are patterns that consistently show up in successful businesses, and you should be doing it as well. So, number one, without KPIs, growth becomes guesswork. If you don't measure key metrics, you're just flying blind. It's like you're trying to lose weight without tracking calories or exercise. Your efforts feel busy, but they're not focused, because without these KPIs, you've got no idea whether it's revenue, whether it's sales calls, whether it's the profitability. These are some of the key KPIs that I use, and these are the things that are tracking my business so I'm able to understand what's happening from month to month. Every scalable business I've seen has had dashboards. They can be simple as a Google Sheets, or they can be as complex as you like, with multiple revenue streams, multiple businesses, multiple services within the business. So really just work out what you need to measure, create a dashboard. It could be a Google Sheet initially, but just be tracking that on a weekly basis. And then I'm tracking those things on a monthly basis to give me a snapshot when I'm looking over a year. These things and this dashboard is super important if you're going to be able to see those trends in your business that are going to make the biggest impact on your growth. So many businesses chase revenue, but they often ignore profitability or even customer churn. So you have a great sales month and still lose money. So you don't understand why. So profit margins is more important than revenue. Your cost per customer, your retention are often the true lies and the truth, or the lies behind your business. Just on profitability, what is the point of having 6, 7, 8-figure businesses if you're making no profit? That is not a great way to run your business. And you can be hit by marketing fees, by salespeople that really hit your profitability. So it's super important that one of those metrics that you're tracking, one of your KPIs, is profitability. KPIs give you early warning signs of when things are going wrong. If your lead conversion drops this week, that's a red flag for you to be aware of. You can now investigate it. Not 3 months later when revenue dries up, you're able to see those red flags straight away and understand where you need to rebalance. So for example, you've got a pipeline of sales calls. What often happens when you've got this sort of up and down of early businesses is that you have a pipeline, you get some clients, and then you have the dip, and then you have to push on the marketing again and get that pipeline of sales calls and conversions. Where if you're tracking that and you're seeing that on your KPIs, it's a lot clearer and you can definitely get to them faster and deliver those changes in your business to stop that sort of up and down of early businesses. They translate vague goals into measurable actions. Saying we want to grow, telling everyone that you want to grow means nothing. saying that you want to grow by 15% over 3 months. That lets your team know, if you have a team, what's expected and how they are able to act. So sometimes you can just put a number in the air. I want to have profitability of 30% this year. But unless you're understanding how you're making steps towards that profitability, that's the way that KPIs can make a huge impact on your business. Most high growth founders rely on 3 to 5 KPIs. They might be tracking more of them, but when you're going through your KPIs, being able to prioritize them is such an important thing to do. So you don't get drowned in data. You can be laser focused on what matters, whether it's client acquisition costs, whether it's retention rates, whether it's monthly recurring revenue. KPIs align your team and your departments. When marketing, sales, and ops are all measuring other things, being able to bring them back onto KPIs makes that they can collaborate better, stay accountable, and all be moving in the same direction. That's with a team or a department. But even if you've only got yourself and as the business owner, you're a solopreneur, just think about being able to track them, and then you can adjust your behavior of sales or marketing and pipeline that way. Tracking lead conversions helps us double our own close rate. So for example, when we're tracking where leads come from, how long they took to close, and the conversion rates by source, we stop wasting time on low quality leads. So just thinking about where those leads are coming from, that's one of the things that I track. It's not one of my major KPIs. I'm looking at revenue, I'm looking at profitability, I'm looking at sales calls, I'm looking at conversions, just to name 4 of them. But being able to understand where they're coming from is so important for a business owner. So think about where you're tracking those leads from, which marketing strategy you're using. So your bank account might be a lagging indicator because you've got recurring income. KPIs can be your leading indicators. Revenue is the result, but KPIs show what's coming next, whether that's traffic, when you need to think about demos, whether you need to think about client engagement. So if you're tracking the KPIs, looking at the bank account can give a mixed message on what you're actually looking for. Customer lifetime value and CAC matters even for small businesses. You don't need a finance department to benefit from these metrics. Knowing what a client is worth over the time tells you how much you can afford to spend on marketing. Next, they help attract investors and partners. Now, you might not be ready for this. This might not be where you are thinking of investors or partners to grow your business, but some of you might be. If you're tracking your KPIs, your big format of KPIs that you're tracking, and those targeted ones, which are going to give you the biggest impact and the biggest show, if you are at that stage where you're thinking of investors and partners, being able to track those metrics over a long period of time doesn't just give hype for investors, but it also creates credibility instantly for them. They're not just financial. Brand and culture KPIs are rising in importance. Things like employee satisfaction, referral rates, social media engagement can indicate how your brand is really performing. So one of my larger KPIs I'm tracking is regarding my social media posting and engaging. How many posts am I releasing a week? LinkedIn is my primary social media platform, and that's where I get the most traction. That's where I get the biggest value. But being able to track how many times I'm posting regarding my business is an amazing way of being able to track whether I'm on track as a LinkedIn strategy to be able to get those engagements and those comments and those likes and get into the widest audience, which then can have a big impact on generating leads and sales. So one of my guests shared time to value as their game-changing KPI. That's how fast a customer sees results after buying, shortening that time, improving retention and referrals overnight. So just think about that. When do they get the value? As a podcast guest, my business podcast introduction, often people are looking to be able to generate leads and sales, but that comes over time for us after creating momentum of a few episodes and a good social media strategy, and maybe an email marketing, and maybe it's other marketing strategies that you're using. But a lot of my founder-led businesses are looking for how to give value, how the customer sees the value. So that might be something that you might be tracking. KPIs also make delegation easier. You don't need to micromanage when you're being measured and to get the right outcomes. Your team can use their own numbers, but they are led strategically. So every department, if you're in a multi-department business, you might have different KPIs which are focusing on different areas. But being able to delegate the work and they track those KPIs for you to have the overview is an incredible way of being able to really fast track your business. And lastly, mostly KPIs gives you peace of mind. When you're tracking the right indicators, you stop worrying and start leading your people. You have the data to support not just your gut feel on things, and this is how you're able to make a dial change in your business. Too many business owners measure everything or nothing at all. Here's a simple plan to get you started. You might want to track multiple KPIs that your team is impacting in or you're putting in, but choose just 3 or 4 KPIs that align with your growth. On this channel, we're all about growth. Business growth is in the name of the show. I want to help you be able to grow your business. So just think about creating those 3 to 4 KPIs. Make sure they are specific, measurable, and that they're regularly reviewed. I review mine every week, but majorly I'm thinking monthly to see a true reflection of how the business is growing. You might want to do it on a quarterly basis. I would guess most business owners that are listening to my show think about doing it on a monthly basis at minimum. You might have weekly updates, but you want to be tracking it at least on monthly. And ask yourself this: if I improve this one number by 10%, how would it change my business? And that's what you can do when you're tracking your KPIs. So if you're struggling to understand your progress or make confident, difficult decisions, go back to your KPIs. Don't let your business run on what your gut feeling is alone. Start small, track what matters, and watch with clarity, and growth will follow. If this episode has helped you rethink or refocus the way you're tracking your business, I'd love you to share which KPIs you are using and how they have helped you in the comments. And if you've got a KPI that I've not talked about here that has transformed your business, hit it in the comments below. I'd love to feature it on future episodes. And lastly, please consider signing up for my email newsletter, which gives you behind the scenes information about this show and about me. And it's a really great insight into the show and the different aspects of this show. Please go to www.businessgrowthtalks.com and sign up. Please hit this next video to help you grow your business from Business Growth Talks channel. I'm Mark Hayward, and I'll see you next time.